This week on Jersey Matters, a blockbuster investigation by NJ.com uncovers proof of chaos and severe understaffing early on in the pandemic at New Jersey's state-run nursing homes for veterans. We'll talk with one of the investigators, Susan Livio. Monmouth County Sheriff Sean Golden says his officers are concerned that under a new law, they will get arrested if they stop someone for underage drinking at the Jersey Shore. Residents in Jersey City say they've called 911 when a crime is happening, and no one answers. And Johnson & Johnson to the rescue. The Jersey-made COVID-19 vaccine is now being distributed. Hi, and welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. We begin today with that investigation by NJ.com and the Star-Ledger into New Jersey state-run veterans nursing homes. Here's my interview with NJ.com reporter Susan Livio. Can you sum up the report for those who haven't seen it yet?
Certainly. So my reporting partner, Ted Sherman, and I obtained state records through the Open Public Records Act that gave us a window into the chaos that was going on inside the state-run veteran homes. And what we found, that the staffing shortages were severe, that a quarter of the people working at these facilities were sent home sick or did not report to work following the declaration of the coronavirus emergency on March 9th. We found that amid the staffing shortages, 25 more or so people who work at the veterans' homes were suspended for abuse and neglect. And that's alarming. So we asked the Departments of Health and Military and Veterans Affairs to elaborate on what this was, but that they declined to do so, citing personnel issues. The union officials say it was all trumped up. People might have fallen. Things that might have happened were categorized as negligence. But the upshot here is that these people were paid to stay home while staffing was very tight at the veterans' homes.
Your story came out, and in the background is this investigation that's going to start now in New York and an investigation in Pennsylvania now that is centered on the fact that COVID positive patients were sent back into nursing homes. And in New York, you have an undercount of the fatalities, and they admit that it was because they were trying to not be investigated federally. Does any of that play into your report?
Well, certainly there's a nexus. People have been disappointed and frustrated with both the Murphy administration and the Cuomo administration, and the media markets overlap. So there's a lot of people who are pointing at Governor Murphy and saying, you did the same thing. It's not quite that clear. The governor of New Jersey did not hide COVID deaths. What happened early on was they were reluctant to identify where the fatalities and cases were by facility. However, 6 weeks in, after the federal government said, you must make this information available, the state of New Jersey did. On the issue of sending people back, discharged people from the hospital going back into nursing homes, the health commissioner in New Jersey, Judy Persichelli, has had a memo out that said on March 31st that you must accept people returning unless you cannot you cannot segregate these people returning from the hospital with COVID with a separate staff and a separate wing. And if you can't do that, you've got to let us know right away. And within 24 hours, 100 facilities called the health department and said, we can't do this. And within a week, there were 200. So there was more of an active conversation going on from what we have been able, because we looked at New Jersey and New York to compare. New York was relying on federal guidance. New Jersey issued state-specific guidance. And I think, well, I know that the Murphy administration feels like they're in the clear here. They made it very clear what should have gone on, and they created COVID-only nursing homes for facilities that couldn't take people. So I think it's harder to hang this on Governor Murphy, but you can expect that it's an election year, and the minority party, Republicans, they've been banging the drum on this. And on Friday, they're holding a Zoom hearing examining the shortcomings of the state's pandemic response. And this will definitely be among the line of questions.
It would be political malpractice if they didn't try to
Right.
tie him to Cuomo. Everybody has been so wrapped up with what happened in New York that there are these other problems that could be just as deadly. The PPE, the understaffing, the panic, the chaos that was created by the pandemic and the fear of the pandemic that could have led to as many deaths, if not more deaths. And what you seem to be saying is that was a much bigger problem, at least at the facilities you were looking at.
Yeah, that seems to be a greater concern. You know, people weren't coming to work because they were sick or because they were afraid, because they're caretakers of elderly and vulnerable people in their home. And it was a choice between go to work and bring it home. There were a lot of tough decisions going on, and people were absent. And people were, you know, we have information, emails from the open records request that shows that people were in bed in their own waste, long periods of time. It was a state of chaos. And I think PPE and quality of care issues and neglect are going to loom large.
I think there should be an independent investigation. I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that. The difficulty is, of course, is that it's a Democratic run state and it's a Democratic governor, and he appoints his own attorney general. So it's a little bit different than in the other states. So maybe those lawsuits are the answer, but you've uncovered some great stuff. Susan Livio, reporter at NJ.com and the Star-Ledger. Now, Republicans are going to hold hearings this week on the high death toll at New Jersey nursing homes. And that report in NJ.com is sure to come up. We'll talk about it next with Republican State Senator Kristen Corrado.